Hello, this is Required Fields, and I'm just going to get into another video here. I hope all of you are enjoying your summer, and in this video I'm just going to show a handful of albums that I've been spinning as of late. This is Metal Church, and this is 11, their new studio album. This is their first album with Mike Howe since 1993's Hanging in a Balance. He was lured out of retirement after a number of years away from the music scene, and what can I say? He still has it. This is another enjoyable album by Metal Church. Although my favorite album by them overall is the self-titled debut in 1984. I think 1989's Hanging in a Balance, sorry, not Hanging in a Balance, but 1989's Blessed in Disguise is my favorite Metal Church song of all time, and from To the Estranged. This is an enjoyable album. My favorite songs from it are Reset, No Tomorrow. They actually made a music video for the song No Tomorrow. Sky Falls In and Soul Eating Machine are the highlights on the album. Really nice return from Mike Howe, and Metal Church made another enjoyable album. This is Grave with Out of Respect for the Dead. Grave is a death metal band that have been around for close to 30 years now, and most of their albums are in more or less a similar style. It was Trinity of Swedish death metal, which consists of Dismember, Entombed, and Grave. Dismember is definitely my favorite, but Grave are no slow deceiver, and most of the albums are in a pretty similar style. They did do one or two pretty groove metal influenced albums in the 1990s. Then they took a bit of a hiatus for a couple of years, and then ended up going a while without doing albums before finally starting to record albums again in the 2000s. And this is a pretty good album. I enjoy it, and if you're into that Swedish death metal sound, you might want to give it a look. It's pretty good stuff. Nothing groundbreaking for them. Most of their albums, you pretty much know what you're in for. They don't stray away from the formula they typically use too much on it, but it's an enjoyable listen. This is Numbskull with Virtually Abused. This is a thrash metal album from 1988 that was reissued earlier this decade by Relapse Records. This is extremely intense thrash metal with a slight death metal influence. Death metal was very new at that time. And then in 1991, the band recorded an album called Future Our Terror, which was never officially released. Apparently there are a handful of cassette tapes that exist. The band was chopping them out to labels, and never got an official release, although one of the songs did actually appear on a compilation album or two in the 1990s. Although somehow, one way or another, that album did actually get leaked by, I guess, one of the handful of people who actually did get it, and it still hasn't been officially released. But after that, Numbskull did record another album called When Suffering Comes in 1996, where they changed from being to a full-on death metal band, and they were didn't record any more albums, but they were together for a little bit. They were last active in 2004. That's when the last time they did anything as a band of live shows or anything. Haven't disappeared since then, splitting up in around 2004. But they did reissue this album, Virtually Abused, which has been out of print for years, in 2014, and. This is a very, very intense thrash metal album. Definitely worth checking out if you like the more extreme side of the genre. My favorite track on it would be the title track. If you're into the more extreme side of thrash, look up this album. Very cool stuff. This is Skeletal Remains, and this is their album Condemned to Misery. And Skeletal Remains are a new, old school death metal band. They're very much in the vein of early 1990s death metal. You can tell they're very influenced by Pestilence, Death, Benediction, and other bands of the earlier death metal wave. And anyways, this is their second full-length album, and it has intense riffing and great lead work on it, and it's definitely worth checking out if you like early 90s era death metal. Even though this is a 2015 release, it definitely has that feel that it could have come out in the early 1990s. Very cool stuff. Their first album, Beyond the Flesh, is also worth checking out if you like that kind of sound. And this is Protector. This is their album, The Heritage. Protector is a European thrash metal band who has influences of death metal, and, but they're more thrash than death. And I own 2 albums by them, A Shedding of Skin, which I referenced earlier this year as one of the first albums that I actually bought of the year. When I did that new acquisitions video, the only 2 other albums, the only other album I bought earlier in the year was Megadeth's new one, Dystopia, and Protector's A Shedding of Skin were the only 2 albums I bought. And afterwards I ended up getting this one, and of the 2 albums that I own by Protector, this is the better one of the 2, I would say. Although I do like A Shedding of Skin, I like The Heritage better, and the album was out of print for many years until it was finally reissued by High Roller Records earlier this year. They play intense thrash metal with a slight hint of death metal in there. And my favorite tracks are probably The Heritage, Lost Properties, and the opener Mental Malaria. Very solid album, definitely worth checking out for sure. And I hope all of you are enjoying your summer. And anyways, it's Required Field signing off, and goodbye.